Yo, what's up, guys? Another siege against Kardiak Unity and Nefarious 2.0. And in this case, I'm only hitting Kardiak Unity if I'm not mistaken. So, therefore, for me, it's just versus Kardiak Unity, I guess. And we're fighting a lot of Kinkis. Well, this is not a Kinki, though. This was actually pre-buff. So, that damage is pre-buffed. Just a little bit of damage. That's going to be a little bit more damage, actually. I actually called two things right at the same time because I'm an asshole like that. No, I was actually kind of low on hitting. Someone asked me to show my Tractor Windy Lulu, and I actually showcased them here because I was checking which one they have. Because I have 2 Lulus, 2 Tractors, and 3 Windies, so it's sometimes I just switch around the stuff, and you can pause the video there if you want to see the actual stats that I have. They didn't show the artifacts, but it's mainly additional damage artifacts on both the left and the right unit. And the Lulu has reduction from wind, if I'm not mistaken, which doesn't help in this case. And some speed from low HP, and then on the other one it's the recovery S3, recovery S1, and then also speed on low HP, if I'm not mistaken. So that is what I use. In this case, versus this team specifically, maybe a Swift Windy would be better than going Revenge and that kind of stuff, but Revenge still kind of works. This build is kind of optimal for, I would say, MSTs that I have right now on the Tractor Windy Lulu, but you can do this slightly differently. Also, you don't really need Tractor for it. What's it called? Commune would do pretty much as good, maybe even better. I would arguably say even better. So yeah, Tractor Windy Lulu is pretty strong. So in that case, the Commune would replace the Tractor, of course. So you have the speed buff and that kind of jazz. Lots of shields, recovery. I still would put Destroy on at least 1 unit, preferably 2. So also if you have a Commune, it would be speed, HP with a Vio Destroy set as well. Would recommend. Funny thing is, if you hit the Windy, or with Windy, if you hit the Kinki, then you're always getting a shield. So that's kind of a way to force a shield on your team. This was pre-buff for the Kinki as well, so we didn't have the possibilities of going for a team that would do a 100% crit on a Kinki and therefore one-shot it. But there are a few teams possible with that. And like I said, I'm hitting all of the Kinki, so a lot of Kinki hits. And sure, I have been using this exact team before, so I'm going to speed this one up because it's kind of boring. But I don't have more than just 2 of those. I'm not the kind of guy that has 7 of this team rune up, whereas some of the Siege players, they would just run the same team 7 times. Me running this team twice is already annoying and boring enough for me, I would say. So at some point we have to get a little bit creative. Normally I don't hit too many net force, but in this siege apparently I had to hit quite some net force. So we got some, I would say, creative teams out there at some point. It's still pretty dangerous if the Kinki starts hitting multiple times on an armor break on the Lulu, even though Lulu is 100 res. It's harder to land those armor breaks on it, but it can be tricky somewhat. Almost done. Free shields. Yay, a Dom, not a Kinki. So we got 2 Kinki hits so far, and 2 Dom hits so far. This team I've been using quite a bunch. I also use this team in the server. Some people were actually mentioning, isn't it better if your Dom moves before Mo? Very accurate, very true, would be very much better. The only difference is that my Mo is pretty fast and my Dom is more on like a lot of all stats kind of stuff. So it's not that easy to make that work. But yeah, it would definitely be better. I might do it for the inter-server thing, but for Siege, I don't think I really need it all too much. Thing is, Dom needs a lot of stats, whereas most just speed and HP. That's all there is to it. Ray actually hitting less Kinkis than I thought. Nah, there's more Kinkis to come. I know at the end I'm pretty much fighting all Kinkis. So this one was relatively interesting, and I wasn't too sure if this was going to be that good or not. But since there's a lot of dots on my team, I thought Seimei would actually be somewhat interesting. Plus that the attack buff will only last for one hit. And Zeratul will actually focus fire on the Seimei as well, which I could have made a little bit more tanky. But as you can see, the Seimei healing is actually pretty interesting. And he also didn't have any sort of healing, which also made it easier. So just from getting a turn, that Perna healed quite a bunch. It almost died though, but it also did heal quite a bunch. So that was, yeah, team I never used before in this combination, but it actually worked out pretty well, I would say. Could you do something similar with a Juno? Maybe. You could do something similar-ish with a Veramos. The only issue is if Veramos gets stunned, his passive for getting attack part doesn't work anymore, which is really a big downfall of Veramos. I think they should fix that where Veramos passive works the moment he's stunned. If they do that to Veramos, Veramos becomes a very strong counter to a whole bunch of things that provide dots and stuff like that. It's just such a big issue that if Rika or a Juno or whatever randomly stuns a Veramos, it's not gonna do anything, and then your whole passive turn cycling whatever is not gonna happen. You're like, okay, never mind, I'll lose this one. Yeah. Using Seimei finally. Well, actually, I start to get more used to using more Seimei in general, like overall. More Doms. Okay, trust me, the last few hits are Kinkis. Because I had to hit many Kinkis at the end at the same time. So this team is somewhat tricky. I have seen some people fail with this. The main thing is still same as the old team that I was hitting with this. The main thing is that you want to reset the molly. Always reset the molly because you don't want things to get cleansed. That's the biggest issue that can happen here. And in this case, I actually have a Swift Wusa, which is not really mandatory, but well, my units don't proc anyway, so might as well. No, wait, that's not the case. I just have Swift for some other reasons. But yeah, this team, the moment Dom takes multiple turns or this Theo takes multiple turns and armor breaks something, it is pretty deadly. Like this, especially with the heal block and stuff, it is pretty deadly. So even now, I'm not resetting the Theo Mars, but I am still resetting the Molly, because that's the main thing. If Molly starts proccing and actually starts to cleanse stuff, biggest issue I can have. So in this case, I actually did reset Wusa rather than resetting the Rika because of getting the shields back pretty fast. See, those cleanses are annoying. That's really the annoying part. Maybe I should have put shield up there. No, I think I could have survived that anyhow. But now we're close to issue situation. Thing is, slow buff makes Theomar's hit less. So if you have that one in mind, that also helps you a little bit. And of course, the Wusa has to be very tanky. Everything has to be very tanky on this team. But this is a team that definitely could lose against this. So I would not really recommend everyone to use this. Especially if you have some bad RNG, that kind of stuff. It could be kind of tricky. So also in this case, it was like, okay, I could reset that to get another shield up. I could also just go for it, another Rika, and just go for my last couple of attempts of doing as much damage as possible. And I knew that I had the healing up there, so tricky as it is. Main thing is I still want to kill that Molly, because if Molly dies, no more healing, and then we're Gucci. So that was pretty close. That is, I'm not gonna lie, pretty close. Did win in the end, but probably won't be using this team against that anymore. Yay, we got Kinkis! Hitting all of them Kinkis. So in this case, Lucia is pretty good in general, and that's not something I expected to get screwed up with right away. Now the big question is, what do I want to heal? I actually went for the heal on that. I could have done the other way, heal, and then healed the other one backwards as well. But I didn't really want to waste that skill right away, the S2. But then I got stunned for another rotation, which also kind of sucks. So yeah, it is pretty tricky looking. Very nice sleep, really needed that one. Nice armor break on a wrong target. Also did need that one. So currently, to heal or not to heal? I went for to heal. Also that boost up in attack bar, and if I didn't get stunned here, I would probably do enough damage to kill the Kinki right here. Which, I was gonna say this, in my mind it went safer than it actually went with this much. This was somewhat wonky, I would say. Mainly because my Lucia was stunned like pretty much all the time, and she was supposed to be the one to sleep people. She didn't sleep people all too much. I think I didn't use my sleep a single time yet. Maybe just once. Damage from a Ayuno is pretty nice though. And also having the Oblivion on him against the Kinki and an Iris is pretty nice as well. So that adds a bit more value, a bit more options, but is it somewhat tricky? It is somewhat tricky. Also my Lucia doesn't have any add damage, it seems. Either how, that one we did win. Then the next one, which is Asher and Shaina Martina. And they don't have any buffs, which actually is kind of bad for me. The main reason is that I can't strip anything at this moment. I got a bunch of messages I had to blur out there, which is annoying. So yeah, if I don't get any immunity, it's very easy for me to get stripped and that kind of stuff. So in this case, I can't also really hit the Kinki over there. I can put a heal block, but that just hurts. I still have somewhat potential if I stun it enough and proc enough. You know, I was like going for damage rather than that, but he procced out, which is not too great. If I stun here on this hit, I would have still had a chance, but I didn't. So that was not the best of teams. Didn't have the best of luck, but also definitely not the best of teams. Then another team hitting the same guy again. And this is somewhat of a different team I haven't really been using / showcasing a lot. But it is actually pretty funny for that S2 sleeps. S2 sleep on that one also doesn't care about elements. And Beta is going to be the Kinki and Asher focus in most cases. So for that reason you have a bunch of options, or for the Shihua to just do quite some damage and make things work. Main thing is about the Shihua, she's not on any crit damage build, it's actually a speed HP build, and she's doing damage from additional artifacts for the most case. So with that said, you'd still do quite some damage, I would say. The only thing is at the end, killing the unit on the right could be somewhat annoying. But it is pretty doable, and her damage is not bad at all. Like putting the branding, she also has a destroy set, of course. So this team looked a lot safer than the previous team in general. The only thing is the final kill on the Kinki could be somewhat annoying. I actually used S2 just to get rid of that armor break. You do a good amount of damage on that thing still. That's the good part about it. And since you have the Triana passive, you don't have to fear dying all too much. He still does good damage though. And you have 2 healers, 2 revivers. Or no, wait, 1 reviver, 1 passive cleanse or passive revive thing, saver, whatever you want to call it. So in the end, I kind of like this team. Oh. And then for the final hit, something very weirdly-ish that I've never used. Jubel. And I actually forgot for Jubel that he has the, what's it called? S1 armor break, which I should have used more. I forgot about it. I barely used Jubel. It's also not max skilled actually. And I still had a Windy left over, so the Windy allows me to get shields towards other units. And the main thing is killing that Iris. But if I actually put the armor break on that Iris right off the get-go, it would be a lot safer looking than this right now. Because you don't need the taunt strike all the time. Funny thing is with Molly and Jubel next to each other, there's a lot of odds that Yeah, that taunt strike was really not necessary. I'm not sure why I was spamming the taunt strike. At some point I figured out, like, wait, I need armor break. Because I was doing like jack shit damage. And I was getting stunned like crazy. Yeah, this was the moment I was like, wait, I need to armor break this shit. Why am I not armor breaking this shit? Jubel actually gets a lot of turns. That does really help. And his S2 on an armor break does good damage. It's also speed, HP build, just to make him tanky enough. A little bit of crit rate, not too much. But yeah, I would say interesting unit. But really those armor breaks is, that was a must go for it, otherwise I did no damage whatsoever. Would I claim this team to be very safe? I'm not sure, A lot of my teams are also just based, like, why does it work? Rune quality. Is what it is. I'm not the best Siege player out there. I just do what I do and see how things work. But also keep in mind that we're playing Kardiak Unity, which is currently rank 2. So they're not like a potato guild that doesn't know what they're doing. They actually have like pretty legit stuff, both offense and defense. So a 9-1 is not too bad. Wish we actually did win that China Martina one. It was kind of close. I think I could have ruined the Asher a little bit better. That would have made things better, but RNG was kind of fair, I would say. So maybe just use a better team. So either how, 9-1 for this siege. So we have about 6 more sieges until the siege tournament, which is kind of no, wait, it's after the SWC prelims, so that's okay for me. Yeah, so that's like a week after the SWC prelims loses bracket for EU, I guess. So yeah, that's good. So I have time to do that and prepare for that as well if I need to. And let's see if we see some new defenses by then. Either how, guys, thanks for watching and see you in the next one.